Hello everyone. I've finally broken down and decided to make a video for a Type Me type of post because I've been interested in MBTI for a few years now, but I haven't been able to quite narrow down my type. And so I thought that making a video would be helpful. Hopefully it will be. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. I'm sitting in my car because I'm very self-conscious about my family wondering what I'm doing. So hopefully there won't be any random police activity behind me because I'm not in a loud place. So if you hear any birds or anything like that, that's why I'm in my car. I will be using the Peppermint Kiss questionnaire for this. So here we go. What makes you respect individuals, groups, or organizations? Probably for individuals, being open-minded and willing to examine your own thoughts and opinions is very important, especially, I guess, within the last few years. I feel like a lot of people have lost that ability or become unwilling to do that, and I think that's dangerous when you just completely shut down another person because they disagree with you or you think their opinion is stupid, so you're going to yell at them. And I mean, obviously that's not helpful, and I do think it's kind of dangerous, and you're not going to get anywhere, so why? And I do think it's very important to be able to examine your own opinions and maybe change your mind about something, like, oh, hey, I never thought about it that way, and maybe realize that you're wrong. So I think that's a big thing for me, is being able to be willing to listen to other ideas and worldviews and think about it. And honesty and integrity are also very important things to me, because when people lie about really stupid things like, oh, I've totally seen that movie, but they haven't, it does kind of raise a red flag for me, I guess, because if they've lied about something so insignificant and stupid, what else is going to come out of their mouth? And also doing the right thing when nobody is looking is very important to me, because that's what I always try to do, even if it's not the easiest thing or what might be, I guess, best for you. If you could get away with doing something but it's not the right thing, and it might yield a better outcome for you in the short run. I mean, integrity is very important to me, and I guess that's what it means, is doing the right thing even if you can obviously get away with not doing the right thing. And that kind of translates to organizations as well, because they aren't necessarily transparent with what they're doing all the time. So a lot of the time there are some shady dealings that go on behind closed doors in organizations and companies and things like that. So when a company is honest and open, and they do seem to have a sense of integrity, that's important to me, I guess. And what kind of things turn me off about a person, a brand or company, or a particular environment? Well, I guess kind of the inverse of what I just talked about for the other question, but also, I guess it would be virtue signaling for people. That kind of drives me insane, when they have to let the world know about how good and how ethical they are, about a random social issue that they hadn't heard about until 2 days previously, and then they post all over their social media about it, and I don't like that. I think it's disingenuous, and a week from now, will they still care about that issue? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. And it's not even about the issue, it's about them getting attention for being good, I guess. And obviously, if somebody is passionate about a particular issue, like let's say animal rights or something like that, and it's a consistent thing for them. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, you know, the thing that you hear somebody being really into and then you never hear about it again after a few days. Just because they want the recognition on social media. That kind of drives me insane. This is going to come off as callous, but it kind of drives me insane, and I could be articulating it better, but I've never made a video before, so that's why I'm not being more concise and coherent with my thoughts, so I do apologize for that. And I guess to kind of go along with that for brands and organizations is when, to me, it's obvious that they're pandering to a certain audience with their ad campaigns or whatever it is, and then people get really, really on board with it, and yeah, look at how good this company is, when to me it should be immediately obvious that they're just trying to get a certain demographic to spend money. You know, that's obviously a company's end goal is to make money, and pandering is just going to be part of that. And to me it's obvious when that's happening, and it kind of annoys me, and it makes me roll my eyes. Literally or metaphorically, it doesn't matter. So that annoys me. And I guess with people, if someone is always right about something, that I have a hard time dealing with that type of person, because more often than not, they're not always right. I mean, nobody's always right, obviously, but they're not willing to think about the fact that maybe they're wrong, and maybe there's another way to do things, and oftentimes that, for me, those types of people aren't very nice to be around, so I try to just limit contact with that type of person, so that puts me off. And also people who have no sense of humor and get offended by everything, that I don't like that either. If you can't joke about something, then you should be able to joke about most things. And I think that, like I said, the past few years there seems to be it's a competition for who can be offended about everything, and then everyone has to apologize for it, and I don't. How good is your memory for details? Specific conversations you've had in the past, little tasks that need to get done. What were you doing the first time you heard a song? Stuff like that. I guess my memory for detail depends on how important the situation is, or how important I deem the detail to be. Because sometimes I'll remember certain things that my friends won't, and then they'll say, oh, well, how do you remember that? And I say, oh, I just do. But then if I'm completely mentally checked out of a situation, obviously I'm not going to remember what's going on around me. So I guess it's maybe slightly above average, because I guess it happens more often than it should where I remember things and then people say, well, how do you remember that? So I guess it's fairly good. Situational awareness, however, not so good, because I'm really good at missing things that are right in front of me. But I don't know. I guess for little tasks that need to get done, I do kind of space out on that a lot. So it depends on the situation. What do you spend the most time thinking about? The past, present, or the future? Practical topics, logistical issues, relationships with people, theoretical concepts, issues of morality, ethics, You find yourself fixating on one thing, coming back to it, and trying to figure it out, or are you more prone to meandering through multiple tangentially related topics? I guess I spend the most time thinking about the future I don't think I spend a whole lot of time thinking about the past or ruminating on that. Especially when it comes to my own life, I guess. I'm not very prone to that. So I'm thinking about the future a lot, and it's usually kind of, I guess, global issues that I'm thinking about, or societal issues. So I do think about like theoretical things. I think about people a lot. About, oh, what's making this person tick that I'm dealing with right now, that I'm observing. So I guess I think about the present too. I don't know. I really like people watching, so that kind of is what I'm thinking about a lot. If I'm out in public or something like that, I am people watching. And I do kind of create profiles for some people that I'm watching sometimes, which, I don't know, is that weird? That might be weird. I also think about theoretical issues a lot. So, I mean, I do think about the nature of reality. That's one of my favorite tangents to go off of in my head, is thinking about the nature of reality. And kind of, oh, well, what if there are multiple universes? Or what if there are times when universes cross, or things like that, which sounds like a total crackpot thing to be thinking about, or at least for me to be talking about in a video like this. But yeah, I mean, that type of theoretical abstract thing, I guess, is what I'm thinking about a lot of the time. And so it's really weird, because I've had sometimes people will just straight up ask me, oh, what are you thinking about? I don't want to tell them that, you know. Then they'll really think I'm weird. So yeah. Also like thinking about, I guess, conspiracy theories. Which, when I say thinking about it, that doesn't mean that I believe every single one. I just think that a lot of the time they're at least interesting thought experiments. I think the Mandela effect is a really interesting one. There's certain examples for that, like the Berenstain Bears. That's an interesting one. Do I believe everything that is associated with that? No. But I think things like that are definitely interesting to think about. So I guess there are certain clusters that I come back to when it's asking, do I get stuck on one thing? So yeah, I guess there are certain things that I keep coming back to time and time again. Do I often daydream or space out? I wouldn't call it that. I mean, sometimes if I have to be doing a really tedious thing, I'm thinking about that just to keep myself occupied, because if I think about, oh yeah, I'm putting the dishes away, no, I'm not going to be thinking about that. I'm thinking about something else. It says, when you do daydream or fantasize, what types of things do you think about? I guess the same types of things that I already talked about. So I guess the nature of reality, you know, do we live in a simulation? Things like that. That's the type of thing I think about. Think of a topic or two you're really interested in and like having conversations about. Do you think you would generally have more fun talking about that topic with an enthusiastic, curious listener who asks you a lot of great questions, or do you think you would generally have more fun listening to an interesting and entertaining person talk at length about it and answer your questions enthusiastically? I would rather be listening to somebody talk about it, because then I'm getting another perspective on it, and also I feel like I don't know, I ask a lot of questions in general, And so I'd much rather be listening to somebody who is gonna maybe have a different perspective on it than me. That would be more interesting for me, because I don't like dominating a conversation. I feel like I would be in that situation. So yeah, I would rather be listening to somebody and then ask questions, because there are certain questions that I have that, if we're talking about this topic, I want someone to tell me what they think about it. So yeah. And the last question, what topics do you think about? So I guess the nature of people in general, and kind of one of the things that I'm really interested in is kind of the mentality that's taken over. At least I live in the U.S., and so there's kind of this. I touched on this in the first question about people who just don't want to examine other opinions and things like that. And I think about what's happened, what is causing people to be this way. And I do have my own theories about it, but so that would be something that I would love to have a conversation with someone about, especially if they're, if they're an expert in the field of psychology or something like that. I think that would be a really interesting conversation to have. Or if you're talking with, a theoretical physicist or something like that, with the theory that this universe is a simulation or something like that. I think that those would be things I would love to have conversations with people about. If someone is doing something that you strongly disagree with, how likely are you to confront them about it? If you do confront them, how do you usually tend to do it? How does your answer change depending on your relationship with the person and whether their actions directly affect you? Well, definitely depends on the situation and what this person is doing. I mean, if it's a situation where, I don't know, if somebody is abusing an animal or a child or something like that in public, yeah, I'm gonna intervene, because I think that's just absolutely terrible and it's inexcusable behavior, and you're hurting another living creature, and I think that's just, especially children and animals. I mean, that's the lowest you can possibly go, and I have no respect for someone who does that. I just can't deal with it. So in that situation, I probably would intervene. And if not in a direct way, if it were unsafe to do so, I would call the police or something like that. But I mean, let's say I was with someone else, a guy or something like that, then yeah. Because there have been a few times where, I don't know, I kind of surprised myself, my reaction to certain things, where I've confronted people directly about something that they're doing, and it's almost like I went on autopilot when that happened. So yeah, but I mean, if it's one of my friends or not one of my friends, because if one of my friends is doing something that I strongly disagree with, I'll at least hint at, knock it off. But I mean, if it's something minor, I'm not going to pick a fight over it. It has to be something important to me, like the things that I mentioned. How interested are you in trying new things? Traveling, trying strange and exotic foods, going on roller coasters, etc. I don't think I'm the most adrenaline rush seeking person in the world. I don't particularly like roller coasters or skydiving or that type of thing. But I would love to travel and see new places and things like that. And trying new foods. I like doing that as well. I mean, as long as there's no meat in it, because I'm vegetarian. So that's kind of a restriction, which people are like, but yeah, as long as it's kind of, I'm not an adrenaline junkie, so that type of thing just doesn't really appeal to me. But traveling, yes, absolutely, I would love to travel. So yeah, I think I'm pretty willing to try new things. I'm generally up for most things unless I have an immediate reaction where I'm like, no, that's dangerous, then I won't do it. How would other people describe your demeanor? A lot of people just think I'm really quiet and reserved, which I guess is accurate. I do tend to be pretty quiet most of the time. Most people think I'm pretty nice, and I think that's accurate. I think I'm a fairly reasonable human. How rational do they think I am? Do you tend to be quiet and reserved? Well, yeah. Do you seem to choose your words carefully or talk in stream of consciousness, or do you sometimes think so fast you stumble trying to get all the words out? It definitely depends on the situation. Because if I'm around people that I don't know very well, I will be a lot more quiet than if I'm with my friends or coworkers that I've worked with for a long time. Because if I'm around people that I don't know well, I haven't quite figured out what I can get away with, I guess. That isn't exactly what I mean, but I haven't quite figured out their vibe yet and how I need to be around them. And so I will be overly cautious, I guess. But if I'm really, really wound up about something, yeah, it'll be stream of consciousness, and then it'll be one sentence that lasts for 2 minutes sometimes if I go on a rant about something because I'm frustrated. So it definitely depends on the situation and how comfortable I am with the people around me. Do you tend to finish your sentences or skip to the next sentence in the middle of the one you're saying, or skip to new topics entirely? Well, if I feel like I'm floundering a bit in a real life situation, I'll just end the sentence with yeah, and then move on. And if people know me, though, it's fine. And other times people just think I'm being weird or something. Because sometimes I do have the tendency to be a little bit sarcastic and deadpan. And the first few times I do that around people, they think I'm either weird or stupid or something just because they're not familiar with it. But I usually don't start doing that until I'm relatively comfortable with the other person. And then it says, do you interrupt? If so, when and how often? Car just drove by. I try not to interrupt other people because I do think it's rude, but sometimes I get really excited about things, and I do sometimes, and then I'm like, oh no, I did it again. So I try not to, but sometimes if I don't, then I'm not able to get out what I wanted to get out in the conversation because it's already moved on. So I try not to, but it does happen. How often do you feel like you have so much energy you can't sit still and need to be up and moving? Not that often, really, unless I'm getting a haircut because I have a really hard time sitting still for that long in the chair with the other person trying to make small talk with me that I don't know very well. Then I get kind of antsy. That's just because I'm like nervous and want to get out of the situation, I guess. How hard is it for you to get out of the bed in the morning or get up after relaxing for a long time? It's not that hard for me to get up in the morning, unless I've gotten zero sleep, but usually it's okay. Usually I can motivate myself fairly well to get out of bed. Are you involved in any creative activities or projects? What are they and why do you like them? I'm not really directly involved in any creative projects. I'm more of an appreciator, I guess, of the arts than a creator. That's kind of how I look at things because I really do like, I do like music, but I don't create music myself. But I do really respect creative people and artistic people and what they can create from nothing. To me, that's really amazing because I don't know. I don't think that ability was ever honed when I was a child. It wasn't really encouraged by my environment. necessarily beyond a certain age. So I do really respect people, and I think it's amazing what they can create from just a blank canvas or scraps or something like that, if they make something really beautiful. So how likely are you to finish a particular project I start? I usually finish most things. Usually. Because if I get myself motivated enough to start something, I'm probably going to finish it. Because I've already invested emotional energy into it. Because I've started it. And then I will feel bad if I don't finish it. So, is there anything else I want to talk about in this video? I don't think so. I think I answered all of the questions on there. I mean, the last question is, what is your age, gender, and nationality? Well, 2 out of the 3 is pretty obvious, and I'm in my 20s, so I'm not a teenager, so yeah, you can estimate with that. In any case, that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for caring. I'm gonna guess if you've made it this far, you care a little bit. So in any case, thank you, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.